I'm in conversation with Anuj Puri and Rajiv Sabharwal. So let me, gentlemen, keep it very, very specific and ask you just 3-4 key questions. Number one, how would you describe the state of India's real estate today, residential and commercial?
So there is certainly on the residential a lot of challenges, Manisha. We are going through a consolidation phase and it will take 18 to 24 months to come out of this stage. There is a huge amount of issues on the sales, on the cash flows and on the financial position of many of the developers. I think you will see over the next 18 months that as this phase eases out, the consolidation of the developers happens. On the commercial, the sector is doing exceptionally well. Both on the demand and the supply. Clearly the demand this year, this calendar year 2018 has been far greater than 2017, prompted by the growth that is coming up from the Indian corporates as well as from the US corporates. Fortunately, there is supply that is also coming out on the offices, and then on the other hand there is inevitable exit that you are able to see through many of these private equity funds who are wanting to buy these income yielding assets.
All right. Rajiv, same question to you. State of India's real estate currently.
So,
Rezi?
I'm not so bearish. I feel that market is now behaving better than what it was in the last few years. In the last few years, we saw sales really coming down, inventories going up. But what we have seen in the last year or so, let me say, sales are coming back, and at least we can see this in the affordable segment. The other is the fact that the issues on receivables are also becoming better. But let me divide this whole market into two. There are developers who have been disciplined on borrowing. They are in a much better situation. And there are developers who have not been disciplined on borrowing. So I feel there are two factors which are really determining whether developers are doing well or not. One is discipline on borrowings, and two, discipline on completion of projects. As far as commercial is concerned, I completely agree with Anuj. The market has been great. There's a fair number of new players entering into the market, plus the existing players expanding. Obviously, the three large markets.
Any oversupply worry on that front?
No, actually, I would say the other way around. We should have had more supply and we could have seen more absorption. And there are three markets, obviously, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune, which are doing much better than the others. In fact, the inventory levels on the commercial side have been coming down clearly.
UBS came out with a very interesting report, Anuj, saying that affordability of India's housing sector is at its 15-year best because incomes have risen, but for literally now the last 5 years, prices have been stagnant, yet the buyers not coming back in the same numbers as he did prior to 2008. What's stopping him? Is it just that same trust, excess supply? And can the developers do anything at all to restore it?
So, Manisha, 5 or 6 things why they are not coming out. One is that the perception that property prices will continue to go down, and hence the buyer is...
Then my question is...
Not at all. I think we're really at the bottom. Really at the
Specific projects where the developer is under trouble, do you think there is a...
I would say to the buyer, do not buy into those projects. Even if it is really coming down because you're going to get into problem. Yes, RERA will protect, but ultimately RERA will protect
only
to the...
Anuj Puri is calling out the bottom of the market.
I'm calling it as the bottom of the market. Absolutely, on the prices, clearly the bottom of the market. The second is that there has to be a little bit more security that this RERA is absolutely functional in all the states. What can the developers do? I think developers, if they can just focus on completion and just focus on making sure that there is financial discipline whilst they are completing it, they will see on the other side of the tunnel, which I'm hoping that it will be about 18 months from now, that there is going to be a fair amount of appetite.
Tell me, do you feel that between some of you large capital holders, you could help the developers complete that, that last mile funding or innovative funding which they require to help them go past this tough phase?
See, clearly at Tata Capital, we believe there is a huge opportunity. I completely agree with you, and we want to tap into that opportunity. We believe that the opportunity lies in finally financing the end customer, because that will mean more cash flows coming into the developer. As far as talking about stuck projects, there our view has been very clear that I think what is more important is to look at the financial viability of the project, to look at whether if we provide the last mile, whether the project will get complete, customers will get their homes or not. And if there is a possibility on doing that, we will look at those options. I think what is equally important at this point of time is for the state governments to think of along with the center, to think of how these stuck projects will get completed and who will make this
Especially
happen.
the ones which have hit the courts and NCLT, nobody can bail them out. Courts won't even allow a bailout for those projects.
I think so. If you go with a credible plan, the courts will listen. But what is happening is that if you have multiple stakeholders, then your ability to take a decision on the project is getting vitiated. When we were thinking and deliberating about it, one good way could be to say that we will give all the responsibility to RERA to ensure that they can get everybody together and they can take certain decisions on behalf of the state and the center also. If you do that and make this authority or responsibility available with one authority, then I think so things can move much faster. But if you create multiple stakeholders, then it's going to be difficult.
Both of you, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.